Hello and welcome. Today we've got David Mahoney, and today we are going to be discussing Georgia Guidestones falling apart, Rome on fire, and also the British government falling. Now, just before we begin, you can subscribe to our Telegram channels and to nicholasveniamin.com for my free email updates. And if you're watching this for the first time on YouTube, I will leave the link below in the description for the full interview. Unless, of course, myself and David can choose our words wisely due to the insane censorship that's happening right now. David, thank you for joining me, sir. How are you and what are you doing? I see you're in Ireland.
I'm in Ireland, Nick. Yeah, I actually nearly missed this interview, so I just managed to make it somewhere. I've got a good, strong Wi-Fi. I've been here for, let's say now, I got here on Friday. I was doing another one of the burning masks with Huna Flash. And Nick, it's absolutely fantastic. It's great to be back in Ireland. I've been back 4 times. I haven't been back here in 15 years and 4 times in the last approximately 6 months. But these, all of these worldwide events going on, I mean, I've been out of it for a couple of days, just been traveling and filming, but you know what it's like on a filming schedule. But I mean, what's going on right now is some fantastic stuff going on. Something else I totally forgot to tell you about, but we'll get into that. So, I mean, all of these worldwide significant events have got to be now making people believe that we've been on the right journey for all of these months. You know, the Georgia Guidestones, very dark, very, very dark energy coming off those. And there were a mysterious explosion at 3:33 a.m., which took out the main stone, and then they demolished them the next day. I mean, that's an amazing string of events that shows us that, what is it? Are they being struck by God? Was it a missile? It's not an earthquake, which is what they've been announcing. The mainstream media is saying it was an earthquake it took them out, but you can clearly see by the footage that it wasn't. It was an explosion. But how do you get the explosion up there? Those things are protected, and there's CCTV up there. How did it happen? It's a mystery.
I mean, do you think
and then we've got...
Do you think that the CERN that the White Hats are now in control of, that they're using, you know, the colliders in CERN to create, to do, you know, to use it to their advantage, and maybe it was some type of, you know, energy weapon attack?
Well, there's a good link with that, because if we take CERN as being a positive power generator, if they've been using such as the Georgia Guidestones as some sort of portal that's been transmitting or receiving dark energy, if they've switched the whole thing around, it would be like reversing the current on a car battery. When you go to charge your car battery, you got positive and negative. If you switch them, you're going to blow the circuits. And it would certainly, I could see the theory in that. There's a nice bit of spiritual science behind that, because the other obelisks that got struck by lightning and taken out as well. I mean, is that another one of these energy transferring portals, you know? It's certainly something that could be considered. I think there's a good theory in that. I hadn't considered the CERN being involved in it, but if you take CERN as being the transmitter, and what's the receiver? What's on the other end of it? If you reverse the polarity. Hang on, let me just tell my friends next door. Guys, keep it down a bit screaming. Irish people, after half a pint, you're screaming. They were traveling with the 6 of us in the group next. I've told them to shut up, keep the noise down. I like that theory about the CERN. It would certainly make a lot of sense if that really is the case. But, you know, the whole negative energy associated with CERN, yeah, reverse the polarity. Let's see if it's going to be blowing things off. And then there's stuff going on in Rome. I mean, we'll talk about the British government. Something that struck me there about this fall of the government. There was over 40 ministers that all of a sudden decided to throw in the towel. But Nick, did you know this? I'll tell you something that hasn't probably been broadcast. One of the people that follow me on my channel shared some information. There was over 35 members of the FBI wandering into the halls of power in Westminster. So the FBI were inside Westminster when all of this resignations and this turmoil were going on. Why is the Federal Bureau of Investigation inside the Houses of Parliament? Now, I have a theory about that, and this is only a theory, but I think there's some form of investigation going on into what their activities were and whether there was some sort of evidence laid inside the Houses of Parliament as to what they were doing. Now, it would be very reckless for me to make any assumptions whether it would be, you know, it could be child trafficking, it could be narcotic related, it could be bribery, it could be corruption, it could be a sexual assault, it could be a number of things. But for the FBI to be involved in it, it means that there's some sort of tie-in with the US government. Now that's been confirmed to me that that happened. We're never going to get an official recognition of that, not this side of before everything is overturned. But I know that to be true. I've had it confirmed from 3 different individuals who don't know each other, and they were witnesses inside there. Because one of my old friends works inside the Houses of Parliament, and he told me as well. He said, "Yeah, it was a right load of kerfuffle. We weren't allowed to go nowhere. The FBI were wandering around in there. We'd never seen that before." So there's something very strange going on in the halls of power in Westminster. Johnson's resigned. All his cabinet have thrown a towel in. So here's where my theory kicks in about Operation London Bridge. If Boris Johnson and his government are part of the foundations of the UK government, what happens when you pull the foundations down from any building? It falls down, which ties into London Bridge is falling down, which are they going to announce the death of the Queen really soon? You know, it all sort of ties in together.
Absolutely. So do you think that, because I've interviewed, you know, Michelle before in the past, Michelle Fielding, and she says numerous times that all of the governments around the world will step down. And do you think that that's what we're seeing now? Because we're seeing that in other countries. I've seen prime ministers step down, and then I'm suspecting that Joe Biden will somehow step down, or he might be, arrested or resigned or something before the actual results come out of the November the 3rd results.
Yeah, absolutely. But look at what's happening. Sri Lankan government has fallen. He fled the country while the palace is burned. You've got the situation with the Dutch farmers where they're really not going to give up because they're really pushing back against the government. And by the way, the Prime Minister of Holland is good friends with Justin Trudeau. And you know what happened with the truckers there. They started freezing all the accounts and everything. So I really believe that there is a big link between these governments falling down. And it could just happen at any second. The next one is going to go. Now, we know that there's over 40 states in the USA that have now said they're about to recount, to take back the recommendation for the Biden administration. Now, why aren't they announcing it yet? I think there's still too much organization to be going into that, because when they announce that, we've seen how the people of the USA, the extreme lefties, react. They start burning, marching, pulling things apart, boarding up shop windows. All of this has to happen. So we know that they're going to be doing a lot of this preparation for these announcements to be made. Oh, look, come and say hi to Lucy.
Hello.
Hey, Lucy, how are you?
I'm really well, thank you. Thank you. It's good to see you. We've been doing some pretty heavy lifting over here. So
he's going to talk to you in a second, so you can tell more about it. Yeah? Right. I'd like you to, we'll talk to her. She's got some amazing info. I'm also with Mark Atwood. Mark's going to come and say hello in a second.
Excellent.
Where was I?
So are you saying that all the governments around the world are falling down? Is that what you're seeing? Is that what you're saying?
I'm seeing that. I'm seeing that. You know, there was another one. There was another government that's been showing signs of extreme rebellion inside the town, inside the country as well. It's slipped my mind now. I've been out of it for a few days, Nick, so I've slipped it. But Sri Lanka is one of them. The Balkan states are also, there's a lot of pushback from the citizens there against restrictions, etc. They're tired of the fuel restrictions. There was Palace. Mark, which country was it with the oil that's gone dark totally today, you told me? Somewhere in the Middle East. Is it? No, it wasn't Palestine. Where was it? There's a country in the Middle East that's going to come to us now. Lebanon.
That's right, Lebanon.
The Lebanon, Mark, Lebanon's gone black totally. The power's out. There's no internet. The whole thing has gone totally dark. They're out of fuel. They can't put any of the power generation materials on them, power machines on. So the whole country's gone into communication blackout.
So would you say that this is the fall of the cabal when we're seeing this? That these elites are trying to stay in power. The good elites are trying to get them out of the way.
Yeah. Absolutely, because it's just a clear case of it. Your British government's fallen. Sri Lanka's fallen. Now we're seeing this situation kicking off in Lebanon where they've got no power to keep the power generation machines on. They've got no fuel left. There's no food left. The people are rising, pushing back. They've gone in total communication darkness. And then we've got what's happening in Rome. Because what they haven't told you in Rome, there's 3 different areas that are on fire. Now, one of them was a recycling plant. Auto recycling went up in smoke. but it doesn't explain the other parts that are all in flames. Now, we've had really good intel on that. It's because they've been blowing the dumbs up, these tunnels underneath the Vatican that they've been using for child trafficking and all sorts of nefarious, dark activities. And they've actually blown these now.
Wow, that's very interesting. So, how about the Japanese former prime
flames
minister?
Coming up from underground are making other parts. Yeah, and Nick. Yeah, the assassination of the assassin. I watched the video footage, and they also released some video footage of when they were taking the body away from the scene of the assassination. And the photographs of the body they showed us, you had a goatee and different shaped ears. It's not the same person. I watched a very good angle of the assassination, how the first blast apparently is a homemade gun. It was just a lot of smoke. And then the second blast made his lapel jump like this, and he fell forward. It wasn't a very convincing, if it was an instantaneous, his body would just drop. And there didn't seem to be any blood anywhere. I think he might have actually been faked this death and gone into witness protection, because he was good friends with Trump, and some of the stuff that was going on worldwide. Trump and him are both standing there with their arms facing all of these other criminals, all of these people that were formerly in power. Both of the body language for Trump and Abe, I think his name is, I can never pronounce it. I had it written down in the studio the other day. We're very, very standoffish with them. They were definitely holding that defensive position, saying, no, we're not going to do what you want to do. We're going to do what I want to do. There's another obelisk that was struck as well, Nick. I mentioned that by lightning. That's a very important thing, because in the spiritual community, all of these stones and obelisks are always marking important points of power distribution. And I'm not talking political power, I'm talking planetary energy lines. So having both of these being struck is significant. The Georgia stones being struck by whatever it was, and then this other one that was struck by lightning, they say. But the sun is a pretty good theory. Reverse the polarity, see where it goes. I'm just waiting for more stuff to kick in. Absolutely.
There's really bad signal, and you're cracking up, and I also interrupted you when you was talking about Rome on fire. And I think the viewers would like to know more about that. Why don't you tell us more about the Rome on fire and the domes? And I do believe that it's very, very close to the Vatican where this fire happened.
Yeah, there's 3 different parts of Rome that were burning yesterday. I haven't checked the latest Intel today updates, but there's 3 places. Now, one of them, they're telling the public that it was an auto recycling plant that caught fire, but that doesn't explain the other 2 places. The other 2 places, the intel that we've had is they've blown the domes, these tunnels that are underneath the Vatican. We know these have been existing for thousands of years, at least 1,000 years, Nick. Now, a lot of these tunnels were used in nefarious dark activities, child trafficking, ritual worship. They were also used for storing and transporting a lot of sensitive documentation that they've withheld from humanity, such as ancient technology and the real bloodlines of where we've actually come from. So these are the ones burning in Rome, these tunnels that the White Hats have blown. So it's amazingly strong positive news for everybody that believes that we are in the end days of being enslaved. This is the glorious days of being free, Nick, are approaching us. It's fantastic. There's so much going on. And, we've never had a 10-day, 2-week period like this when there's so much explosive things going on. It's great.
Absolutely. It's very great. Now, why don't you tell us about what you're doing with Mark Atwood? Why don't you bring over Mark Atwood and Lucy Davis, and they can say hello as well along with you. And you can tell us what you're doing in Ireland.
Yeah, we're doing some great work here. Well, I had to finish the last burning mask was with Huna Flash, and we did this very close to an ancient site called Tara Hill. Now, Tara Hill was the ancient seat of queens. So Huna's work is very important to bring back the divine feminine, to bring back the power, to restore the power, because a lot of the energy and the power that the divine feminine represents has been muffled and distorted over the last 2,000 years. So what we've been doing now is bring it back in. So we finished the ceremony with Huna on the hill yesterday, and we had about 60 people on top of Tara Hill. And it was an extremely powerful ceremony that he did. And the energy was electric. And a lot of the people that feel this connection to the greater spiritual forces, they were saying, oh, we've really angered a lot of the dark forces here by cutting and severing their cord and control over the humanity, emotional feelings. You know, our women have becoming masculinized and men are becoming feminized. So we severed that trickery yesterday, and you're going to see this spilling out over the next few weeks about the work that we actually did. Now, Mark is an important part of this because Mark Atwork's network in Ireland is very good, and Mark's very tuned in to where we have to be and where we have to go. So we did 2 very important locations today. We went, well, I'll let them tell you. Come on in, guys. Come and say hi. I'll let them get in and explain.
Let me ask them the question. So let me welcome Mark Atwood and Lucy Davis. If you could just give us a breakdown of what you're doing in Ireland and what's been happening with you guys there. What is exactly the mission?
Yeah, please.
So Lucy here had a vision to activate a diamond grid, and we talked about different sites in this country because I live here, as you know, and I've been checking out a lot of sacred sites recently. So we had the event weekend with Who the Flash from Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then Lucy can tell you the rest because she had a calling to go to one particular place. And then I took them to another particular place.
Lean in, speak loudly.
Yeah, okay. So can you hear me okay, Nick?
I can hear you perfectly.
Good to see you, buddy. It's been a while, hey? It's been a while, and I didn't expect it to be here whilst I'm in Ireland, but it's good to see you anyway. So back in January of this year, I got a download, and I know I've explained what that is to your viewers previously, about coming to Ireland. All I kept getting was Tara was going to give me a message. And as we all know, Charlie's assistant is obviously called Tara. So I expected the message to come from Tara. So a couple of days later, interestingly enough, Tara did actually send me an email, but she was talking about coming to Dublin to do something over here. So I started piecing together these little tidbits that I was getting, which is what I do and how I actually get all of the information. And it transpired over the next month or 6 weeks that I had to go to a place called Tara Hill. Now, I'm in Glastonbury speaking a few weeks ago at Huna's event, and Huna said, I don't suppose you fancy coming to Ireland with us, do you? And that's when it all happened, the divine alignment that I had to come over and do the activation work that I was shown for this diamond grid on the hill of Tara. Sorry, Tara Hill, there's 2 of them. So obviously we did the ceremony with Huna, spoke at the event over the weekend, went yesterday to do this beautiful ceremony for the divine feminine on the Tara Hill. And Mark had previously, probably a month or so ago, actually spoken to me about going to a particular place over here. And he called me really excited, didn't you, after it? And he was like, Lucy, I've been to this place and I know you've got to go there and it's magical and you're going to love it. And as soon as he said it, boom, I was told very clearly that I needed to go there to activate something. Didn't know what, because I don't get told until the time. And today, obviously, Mark took us there, and my God, what an experience that was. The fairy energy, the elemental energy. And then these boys sent me into this rock where only little people can fit, which is why they sent in the little pixie. And I was laid in this rock, and the downloads I was getting and the upgrades going through my body. And what was really interesting is I came out and had a chat with Mark and just repeated everything that had gone on. And Mark will be sharing the video, as will David and I, across our channels. And literally everything that I said, I then spoke to the lady who is one of the guardians of the land there, and she confirmed every single thing that I said. It was amazing, wasn't it? Yeah. It was magical.
And she didn't know anything about this. She came out of the rock and then shared it with us. And then the official tour guide or the guardian of the land came out and confirmed everything that Lucy was feeling.
Wow. Well,
so she's spot on.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Lucy, do you want to explain to our viewers, because we have many new viewers who are new to this and who are learning, what does it mean when you go to activate?
Okay, so really good question. Thanks for asking it, Nick. So it can mean lots of different things. For me personally, I've been intuitively years now. And what I didn't realize when I started this journey, do you want to sit down?
Good idea.
When I started this journey, I never realized that when my feet touch new lands, that I'm actually picking up things from those lands to distribute in other places. I had no idea. Like, why would any of us think that? We go on holiday, right? Or we go to visit places because we just feel drawn to go there. We don't realize that actually what we're doing is we're transitioning energy between places. Now, I literally just got back from a few weeks of being in Europe. And what I was told very clearly when I was in Europe was that I was going to be picking up a lot of divine feminine energy. I was going to be picking up activation codes from the sunshine, and that there was going to be something that I needed to activate. But I didn't know anything more than that at the time. Sorry, the dog's having a little bit of a barking fit, if you can hear that in the background. So they don't normally tell me how I'm going to activate, but a couple of days ago, I was told very clearly that I've got to kick my shoes off and I need to put my feet on the earth. Everywhere I'm going at the moment, the codes that I picked up from Europe and the work that I did in Europe, I'm going to be placing across England, Ireland, like wherever I go from here. And there's a lot of travel that's taking place. So what essentially, long story short, is I'm just distributing the codes. Now, some of the work that I did in Europe was very much about activating the abundance.
Yeah, which is important what's going on now, because we're about to walk into these times of abundance. We've been talking about this for a long time, Nick, but with all of these government situations happening, it's clear that the White Hats are now activating these codes for this time of abundance to come upon us. And we feel it's going to be very, very quick now, that we're going to be seeing really, real positive, undeniable results.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And so, please, sorry, Nick, just to round this off so people get it, there are physical human beings that are doing the do. So, as David refers to them as the White Hats, there are also people like myself that are doing the do, but we're doing it from an energetic. We're getting the planets, we're getting the ground, we're getting Gaia, Mother Nature, whatever you want to call it, ready for the embodiment of what needs to be taking place. Just to clear, I hope that clarifies it for you.
Absolutely. What it is because we are, energy generators, and we all have this ability when we lift our frequency with our consciousness. We are much more than what our government essentially tells us. And what you're doing is you're assisting in raising the frequency, which is fantastic. But Lucy and Mark and David, thank you so much for joining me. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to the viewers before we finish?
Yeah, we had a very interesting Zoom call, my Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon Zoom call with Charlie Ward. Sure, but you go get some food. My Zoom call for Charlie's show on a Saturday, Nick. I did it live from Huna's events, and Charlie's currently on the Patriot Tour in the US with Mel K and a few other big truth talkers. So he came on live, and who sat down next was General Flynn. So I did a live interview with General Flynn and Charlie live from Virginia, and I turned the camera around to all of the people that were at Huna's event, and the whole place just went rah! They couldn't believe it. So we had a chat with General Flynn, and he's saying the same thing. We're in a war, and he's doing it on his side of the Atlantic, we're doing it on our side, but we're all in this as patriots together, fighting for the truth to come out, fighting for our freedom to return, and fighting for a better future for all our children and ancestors. So we're never going to have to go through all of this repression and draconian governmental restrictions again. So it was great to talk to General Flynn, and he's an amazing public speaker. And he just came on Charlie's camera. Charlie was sitting there in the green room before he went on. It was brilliant. So that was a very empowering moment for us, when you can talk to a true hero who's, he's an American decorated war veteran who lost everything in his life defending freedom. And one of the things he did, Nick, which I thought was very interesting is, he said, David, I've got something here. And he opened his jacket and he pulled out a small piece of a pamphlet, a leaflet. And he said, I've got here in my hand the most important thing that we all need to remember. And it's a copy of the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights. And it was a very moving moment when this decorated and respected man who's lived through hell, being persecuted from the Black Hats for what he stands up and he believes in, shared with us. And it's true. The Declaration of Independence, America's very lucky to have one. We should all have one of these. And the Bill of Rights, you've got the right to live in peace and be free of persecution. And the Constitution. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Mark. So, yeah, it's been such an amazing weekend experience, the stuff we're doing. I've got another day here. Lucy and myself are going to do another couple of sacred sites. Tomorrow, we were filming on an ancient Irish fort, which during the battle, the William of Orange, this repression, there was a lot of local Irish people hung. So Lucy was doing a lot of clearing, releasing these souls that have been trapped there for hundreds of years. So I'm learning a lot with her. It's very interesting seeing her work up close and personal because she just tunes in straight away and she feels it. Very interesting. I wish I had that talent, but somehow my position of frontline viewing is I don't know why. I'm being privileged and honored to be a witness to this. So there you go, Nick. Keep fighting, keep pushing back.
Absolutely.
You know the story. Don't take.
It's great to see. I was going to say it's really great to see General Flynn, someone that has been so close to Donald Trump and that's been so close to working so hard and being the white hat as well, to be in contact with the truth community like yourself and Charlie, and to give us these confirmations, which is great. He is very right with that. We are, in a war with with a invisible enemy. The world is in a war against an invisible enemy, but we will fight this. We will win. I can see it. It's happening. It's great. You're doing fantastic. And David, thank you so much. Yep. And we'll catch up very, very soon. Okay.
One last thing to your viewers, Nick.
Please.
Cheers. Cheers from Ireland, everybody. There's a full, fresh pint of Guinness.
Take care. Bye-bye.
So good.